Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. My guest today is Hunter Korble. He's a student, entrepreneur, workout warrior, hard worker, and an overall pleasure to be around. Today, you can expect to learn about the birth of the workout warriors and Hunter's fitness journey, process, and goals, how to structure your day with productive daily tasks, lessons from his entrepreneurial journey so far, quantum computing and its complexities and potentialities, our brief martial arts training and its importance, and a brief conversation about the intersection of religion and science. This was a fantastic conversation, and I really enjoyed the content that we covered here. It was very cold and a very long walk, very slippery, but it was well worth the freezing and the slipping to have the opportunity to record this, so I hope you enjoy. Without any further ado, let's get into it. And we are live. Welcome to the Owen's Brain Show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Owen.
Let's, of course, just finished up a good workout, warrior workout.
Good cold tub too.
Oh, and the cold tub. We have Hunter Korble here, the workout warrior.
Yep. Hunter Korble.
Yeah. Yeah, welcome. First thing I gotta ask is, so you started Workout Warriors 2 years ago, about?
Yeah, closer to a year and a half in September 20. Actually, it was technically November 2023. The club was officially founded, but we kind of had what would become Workout Warriors going ever since September, and then now, of course, it's January 2025. So
Yeah.
it's been about a year and a half that we've been doing it. It's just been awesome.
What made you want to start doing like high intensity interval, like HIIT training?
Yeah.
And make it a club?
Yeah. I guess like those are two different questions. So the first one, why did I start doing that kind of training? I kind of call it athleticism training, because as I was working out at the gym and I was getting really strong and muscular, but I definitely knew that my athleticism was lacking. So in the summer of 2023, I started doing outdoor workouts just by myself, where I would throw dumbbells and kind of sprint around. And then when I came to university, I was like really excited about doing it. So I thought that a club would not only be a fun way to do it, but also good for the accountability, especially posting it. And a lot of the stuff I do, I post on social media, and that's for me is just a good accountability. So it just kind of allowed me to be consistent over the past year and a half.
Yeah, that's definitely impressive, posting on social media. That's a smart thing to do. Like, self-accountability it's not an easy task.
Totally.
When did you start working out, and did you start going right into strength training, or were you training for sports? Or
Yeah, I think I probably mostly went right into kind of bodybuilding style training.
Yeah.
When I was kind of young, like when I was like 12, I was at the Westside Recreation Center near my house, and I was doing a bunch of bicep curls. Some of my old buddies remember that I used to only train, I think like every other day I would go to the gym and I would do bicep curls and tricep extensions and nothing else. And I would make fun of other people for like training back and legs and stuff. The good times. And then when I was in grade 11, roughly, my friend Eric Ma, he kind of started learning a lot about exercise science and actual training and taught me. And ever since then, I've been
not just the bro science,
not just the child bro science. And I've just ever since then I started actually training.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you, Owen? When did you start training?
Oh, I started training like I would be in grade 9 and 10 gym class. There'd be like the gym day or whatever, where everyone just goes in the gym and no one knows what they're doing. You're just kind of moving weights around. So I wouldn't really count that. That's about the first time I stepped into a gym. And I just remember being super weak. Like, I think max bench in like grade 9 was maybe a 25 and a 5. So what is that? Like
105 pounds?
105 pounds, yeah. So did not start off very strong. And then grade 11 and 12.
So were you like a skinny guy, or were you always kind of like a bigger dude?
I was like skinny fat. So I was like decently tall. Like in, I think grade 10, I was probably like 5'10". And then I was about 180 pounds, but not very muscular.
Gotcha.
Pretty
like
weak.
A little chubby, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And so I also played a lot of video games. Did not.
What kind of games did you used to play?
Oh, it was mostly just like Fortnite, Valorant, like not too many other games.
Gotcha.
And
shooter games.
Yeah, big shooter games. But then I forget what year it was, but it was this one summer. I think it might have been the summer before university. I started to try to like go out to like the rec centers and start moving weights around with one of my buddies. And
was there any catalyst for that, or just that's what you did?
I honestly probably scrolling Instagram and seeing like
jacked people
online is a very big motivation for people. So I definitely channeled some jacked people online, and yeah, I got into that. Didn't get into it that much. Like, would be like once or twice a week, some sort of bullshit workout where you're just kind of moving stuff.
Yeah.
And then first year, the Western gym, I would go there. And that's what I would say when I really started is in first year.
Gotcha.
Even then, I didn't have a plan. It'd kind of be like, I'll show up and I'll move some stuff around. Still super weak, didn't know what I was doing. And then once I moved out of residence, because residence I was in Saugeen, so it's like quite a trek to get to the gym. And I didn't really do it all that much.
Yeah.
And then over the summer, between first and second year, I worked landscaping and
got into shape.
Yeah, I lost quite a few pounds. So right now I'm about 6'1.5", and back then I was about the same height.
There's a cool cliff this way, by the way.
Oh, cool cliff this way. Let's go to the cool cliff. Yeah, I've actually explored so much of London just on these walks. But yeah, so I was about 185 pounds leaving residence. Then like the first month of working landscape construction, I was 170 pounds.
Oh, jeez.
And then I would do landscaping, and then two of my friends got gym memberships at Crunch Fitness, and I would always sneak in with them.
Yep.
This is not good, but it's been two years. I've never held an actual gym membership. I just always go
nice,
like with their barcodes or whatever.
Nice.
And yeah, started working out then stronger. And then when second year came around, I thought this is my year to lock in. Like, I've never been the type of guy to be, there's always like bare minimum to scrape by.
Yep.
And then when second year started, I was like, I'm going to get after it. Did every 6 days a week in the gym, 6:30 in the morning.
Damn.
That lasted about 2 months, but that was enough to like propel me with the momentum to, since then, I would say at least 90% of weeks, I'm in at least 4 days.
It's been consistent ever since.
And it's been consistent ever since then. So about 2.5 years of actual training hard.
Nice. And you probably still then have like a couple more years of good gains before like the big plateau. Kind of at a fun
well, it's
time.
Yeah. For me, it's all about changing it up, and like you're always gonna plateau. Like once you change a workout routine, you're good for a certain amount of time. Eventually your body's gonna meet the expectations like that it needs to do the workout.
Yeah. So
you have to adapt and change, adapt your nutrition, adapt to your workout, whatever you need to adapt. And but so you went right into like bodybuilding type stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like when I was younger, I played a lot of different sports, but I was never very serious about any of them. So I never was into like training for a sport or anything.
Yeah. What how's your weight grown? Like, when was your biggest growth spurt?
Sure.
You think?
So I was always larger when I was younger. I remember right now I'm like not that tall, I'm like 5'8", 5'9", but when I've been this height since like grade 7 or 8. Yeah. So I was like an early growth spurt. I had chest hair when I was in grade 8, I remember. So I think I was probably in like grade 9, I was probably like 150, 160 pounds. And then I probably kind of, by the end of high school, I was like 190 pounds. And then, then I started to really grow kind of after that. And by the end of my first year university, I was probably about 220. And I was a little chunky for sure. Like definitely had a lot of muscle, but little chunky.
Little dirty bulk.
Pardon me?
A little dirty bulk?
A very dirty bulk. Residence food, chicken nuggets. Yeah, very dirty bulk. Yeah, and then I kind of I was cutting and bulking, so my weight kind of would fluctuate between like 200 and I got up to 235 at the end of third year.
Mm-hmm.
And then now I'm kind of lost a little bit of weight. I'm like probably under 210 now and still on like the bulk cut cycle. So that's kind of been my weight progression.
Shit. Have
You want to descend here?
Is this the cliff that goes down?
Yeah, so this is kind of what I was talking about.
Oh, let's do it.
I think this is like a good spot to go down.
All right.
Yeah, it's gonna be slippery, but that's part of the fun.
Exactly. Let's see if we can not get injured. Oh, water bottle here. Okay, your water bottle down.
Okay.
Have you ever thought like what your dream physique would be like? Or you just kind of just keep growing until you plateau and then you're focused on something else?
Oh, all good?
Fuck. This is slippery ice.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I think like kind of like you when I was younger, like I was inspired by jacked people on the internet. But now like
individuals you want to shout out for like getting you into the gym?
I don't really know, to be honest, no one really comes to mind. I think just kind of like mindless scrolling. There's this one guy, and I'm sure that other people have seen him. And I think like 5-10 years ago he was bigger, but he used to be the guy in these ads for weight loss ads. And he was definitely like some bullshit scam he was perpetuating, but he was super jacked. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to get jacked like this guy.
Yeah.
But now these days, like some people would like say that I look jacked, but whenever I look at myself, I just either think I'm fat or skinny, depending on the day, how the body dysmorphia is treating me. So now I don't really care much at all about being jacked, or like I definitely care about being jacked, but I'm not trying to achieve any particular physique. And by doing bodybuilding, and also I did a bunch of martial arts training, not a bunch, but I done some martial arts training. It's kind of got me to come to terms with just the fact that it's just like a body, and everyone has a body. And I know like a lot of
bleed
men.
Red.
What's that?
We all bleed red.
Pardon me?
We all bleed red.
We all bleed red. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know like a lot of men, and like especially like people who are like 17, 18, they'll go up to like someone who's like super jacked and they'll think that they're like super cool because they're super jacked.
Yeah.
But when I talk to jacked people, I don't really care at all. So I think that's just kind of on my journey to becoming jacked, just kind of desensitized me to the concept of being jacked.
Oh, for sure. I think the body dysmorphia is it's a crazy thing how that works. Like,
it is.
It kind of makes sense though, like evolutionarily, why no matter how good you're doing, your brain's always going to tell you could be doing so much better. And so it's a dangerous trap to fall into.
It is, but kind of like what you were just touching on, if you didn't have that feedback loop, then you would stop too early. And
yeah, exactly.
Like I look at my life now, and in some ways, like my life has been objectively successful. But if I stopped today, then, in 30 years, I'd be bragging about what I was doing when I was 22, and it wouldn't seem as impressive.
Yeah,
so you sure. Always got to be.
There's always another mountain to climb, always another thing to aim at. So, what are you just trying to become like? Do you just do it because you enjoy it, or are you trying to just become as athletic as you can, or is it like longevity type stuff, or what is like your fitness goals?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah. Hey guys. I mean, obviously, like I kind of enjoy it, like a hobby.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm trying to become as athletic as possible. But I kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Someone asked him why he still works out even though he's retired, and he's like, every day I still brush my teeth. I still
it's just one of those habits.
It's just a part of living.
Yeah.
And your odds of living longer are significantly increased if you're remaining active. And like I really structure my life around kind of what I call daily tasks, which are just things I do every day, and like it includes things from like academic things to language learning to like fitness.
I'd love to learn about what are your biggest daily tasks.
Sure.
Where did you start daily? Like, what was your first daily task? You were like,
sure,
this is the thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, sure. So there's multiple questions you've asked me, but So I'll just quickly say what daily tasks I do these days,
Yeah.
and it kind of evolves over time. Like I'll get to it, but
Yeah.
So today, my daily tasks, and I recently evolved in on January 1st of 2025. But I'm currently trying to learn Portuguese, Spanish, and French. Spanish I've been learning for quite a few years, and Portuguese for like 2.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Hablas español, Owen?
Sí, sí.
Oh, okay. Oh, muy bien. Yeah. Well, yeah. ¿Quieres hablar un poco español? O...
Poco.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, es interesante. ¿Cómo aprendiste español, Owen?
Mi novia es cubana,
Okay.
so just
Solamente esto?
pardon?
Solamente hablando con tu novia?
See, just like words around the house.
Okay.
So I'm not advanced whatsoever.
Yeah, that's
like,
cool though. That you got a little bit there, man.
I've got a little bit, doing a little bit, got a little bit to go.
Yeah,
but
cool.
it's a lot of her family. Like she's got some family out in Quebec, and they're just they only speak Spanish or French, and so I'm notoriously bad with languages since high school. So I've been crazy Duolingoing, and her mom teaches Spanish, so doing some lessons there. But
cool, man.
Awesome. Yeah, no, keep going. Sorry for the interruption.
Yeah, no worries. That's interesting to speak Spanish too. That's fun. Yeah. So what I do for my language learning is I'll do Duolingo, 1 lesson for Spanish, Portuguese, and French.
Yeah.
And then also I created this on ChatGPT. I made a custom GPT, which I find really useful. And I'll speak to it in one of the 3 languages, and I'll alternate each day which one I do. And I do it for like 8 minutes or so. And I'll speak to it in that language, and I have it set up so it will send me the correct form of what I was trying to say with correct grammar. It will give me an answer in like the language, and then also it'll give me the translation of its answer. And I've found it really efficient for communicating.
Yeah.
So that's my language daily tasks. I use Coursera.org. You might be familiar.
Coursera?
Yeah, it's a really interesting platform. During COVID, a bunch of professors, they obviously recorded their lectures, and it's kind of become a place where most of them are for free. You can access their lectures, and I've been doing courses on there for a few years, and I have a document called Learning Tracker, and I looked back at it the other week or another month, and I was like, damn, I've done quite a lot of courses. Like right now I'm doing like this finance course.
Oh, nice.
And like they're pretty in-depth, like they're university courses, so they take me a couple months to complete, but every day I just do like 1 video lecture or whatever. My other daily tasks, I have reading and writing, which I've really enjoyed doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm
what type of reading?
Mostly nonfiction. For a long time, I was reading mostly history books. Now I'm reading this cool book called The Rise and Reign of Mammals, just kind of about the evolution of mammals, which has been cool. Yeah, and a little bit of writing as well. And then I'm also working on a biology degree, so working on biology is also my daily tasks. And then I used to do Brilliant.org. Are you familiar with Brilliant.org?
I'm not, no.
It's advertised everywhere on the internet. I'm sure
I've probably seen it,
come across an advertisement for it. It's like advertised an interactive learning site. So you like learn like physics and math, and it's like very visual. And for about 2 years, that was a daily task of mine. But I recently, as of November 2024, my subscription ended. And then I kind of was like, had thought to myself, and I looked at the courses I completed, and I was like, I think I've completed most of the courses I wanted to do. So I decided to end that daily task. And now my other one is this course for learning ROS, which is Robot Operating System. It's just like a robot software thing. So that's kind of been my new daily task. And I have a daily response form where I like detail which ones I try not to miss any. So most days I do all of them, but
yeah,
I do have it like kind of like systematically tracked for which ones I miss.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Thanks. Yeah, it's cool. And you also asked me when I started doing it.
Yeah.
I think it was January 11th of 2022. I started doing it. And I think at that time it was just reading and like maybe something else. And then just since then it evolved. I remember over that winter break, I remember January 11th was our first day back. And over that winter break, I think it was in first year. Does that sound right? Yeah, that was first year. I just kind of like sat down myself and I was like, do I want to kind of try to be like more exceptional, be better at the things I'm doing? And I was like, yes. And that kind of inspired me to start doing the daily tasks.
I like that. Yeah, that's definitely been, as of 2023, something that I've tried to incorporate a lot more. Started 2023, I had a similar epiphany that it's like it doesn't matter if you're really good at something, if you're doing it every once in a while. Like, to build a good life, you want to be good at doing the things you're doing every day. And I find for me, that's like every day that you interact with someone, if it's a bad interaction, you're going to have a bad life because you're interacting with people every day. So you want to make the most out of the interactions you're having with people. Same with like even just brushing your teeth. If you've got a good habit with brushing your teeth, and you do it properly every day instead of just going through the motions, it's going to end up better for you. And so I realize a lot of my day is just like the things I do every day are things that are like, I'm a very, very prone to pleasure and fun. So it would be a lot of games, a lot of scrolling, a lot of watching YouTube. And I wanted to like pivot that into more learning, growing, like doing
Productive
activities. Yeah. So and then I also realized the best way to know that I'm capable of doing a habit is to start doing a habit and see how long I can keep it going for. And so starting 2023, January 1st, I had two or three like resolutions I was hoping to do every day. One was reading, one was 100 push-ups.
Nice.
And yeah, and the started with reading, and I got about right until finals started. And then once finals started, there was one day where I just couldn't do it. And then I kind of fell off that, but it's now been 12 and a half months, done my 100 push-ups every day. And it's just,
wow, nice.
It's something that even when I don't want to do something, I now have something like tangible to call back on, where it's like, I know I'm capable of doing this. If I don't do it, I'm just a bitch. It's not because I can't do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, doing daily things, I think, is a very big thing. But it's tough to, how do you structure out your day to be able to accomplish all those? Because I don't know about you, but when I first started that, it started off, I'm going to do it nights early in the morning. It's going to be great. About a month in, I was cramming all of them right before bed just to get them done. And I need a new way of organizing it so that it's not just all getting procrastinated to the end of the day.
Yeah, it took me a while to kind of figure out my system, but what I do is I do what I call morning tasks. So in the morning is when I do Coursera, because I'll be laying in bed and on my phone, I'll just watch the lecture video.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it kind of like just equivalent to if you were just like scrolling in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I also do my languages in the morning, still in bed on my phone. Yeah, so those are my morning tasks. And then once I complete those, it's not quite so daunting. When I make chicken, I eat chicken most days. Yeah. And that usually involves like oven. So while the oven is preheating and while the chicken is cooking, that's when I'll do my reading, right? Or not reading, pardon me. I'll do my writing and biology.
Mm-hmm.
And then my like Ross, I can just complete I only will do it for like 10 minutes. So I guess my answer is just, I have my morning tasks. And then once I complete those, it's usually pretty straightforward for me to slip in the other ones into like little spots throughout the day. But something I found very helpful is using my phone when I can, rather than, I know you like to use your phone as well, but because that just allows me to like hang out in bed and just makes it a little bit less painful to do sometimes.
Yeah. How do you
which way you want to go here, man?
We'll keep going this way.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I recognize this area. I've come out here one time. Except for seems to be something closed, but
I bet we could walk around.
Yeah. I was just about to say something. Lost my train of thought. That's quite a lot of tasks. My recent thing that I've started to do. Have you read Atomic Habits?
No, but I'm somewhat familiar with the book.
I haven't read it either. It's next up on my reading list, actually. But one of the things they say in that book that I've heard from like watching some podcasts or something is attaching habits to other habits. So when I started my thing last year, it would be like I attached my push-ups to
my brushing my teeth. So I would do my push-ups right before and after I brush my teeth. Like I'd start it and then brush my teeth and then finish it. And then I also attach at the end of September this past year, I attached doing a daily reflection journal. Also in that time. And then
that's a really good idea. I think attaching habits. That's interesting.
Yeah, and then I also, I don't know, what you eat a lot of chicken. I eat a lot of tuna. I have the same breakfast and lunch every single day while I'm in London. And so what I do now, because I don't know about you, but when I'm eating, it's super easy for me to just like get on my phone, get on my computer, like just do another task while I'm eating. I decided to, instead of just mindless scrolling, I'm gonna sit down at like my actual dining room table and open up a book, and that's gonna be my reading time. And so got a bunch of books over Christmas, and now I've got a good reading set, and I'm reading at a pretty good pace.
You read like hard copy books?
Yeah, I like reading physical books. I'll do some. I've got lots of books on Audible as well, so I'll do some listening to books. But
that's primarily what I do is listen.
Listen?
Yeah.
I find that I like listening to fiction a lot more than nonfiction, because when I'm usually listening to a book, I'm usually doing something else, like on the bus or like doing like some chore around the house.
Yeah.
And there's just so much skipping back I would have to do.
That's totally fair.
If I'm trying to learn something.
That's totally fair, yeah.
From a book.
I totally agree. I just want to comment as well. I think reading is a great multitasking habit. Like you're eating while you're reading, and I'll do my audiobook while I'm walking.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's super efficient if you can combine stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, so I just wanted to comment as well. You were talking about, want to go left or right here?
Go left.
Sure. You were talking about chaining habits. Bogdan, he's got some extreme habit chaining. Before he like is allowed to eat, he has like a whole, he has to do like an hour of studying, and yeah. I also want to comment as well. That should be your next guest, Bogdan. He's a very, very unique person.
All right.
I don't want to talk about him too much on the podcast. This is the Hunter Korble show, but
yeah,
he has him and I we walked to Long Point.
Oh yeah,
together. So I was talking to him a lot. He is crazy.
Yeah, I would imagine. Are you doing another walk in the springtime?
Yeah, in April
we're gonna make a podcast on that. Just get the mics, get us all mic'd up for the entire walk.
Yeah, dude. We're gonna go to Grand Bend.
Mm-hmm.
We want to do it continuous because we went to Long Point about 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
We did it over the course of like 3.5 days, but we want to go Grand Bend is like 65, just continuous. So it'll be a
65 continuous.
Pardon me?
65 kilometers continuous.
Yeah.
That seems pretty doable for a good day.
It's a good day. Yeah, it's a good day.
My goodness, this ice is slippery.
Have you done a lot of big walking trips before?
Not really. Other than this podcast, I've done, like, I find the reason that I do these walking is because, I don't know about you, but a lot of the best conversations I have is when I'm moving, active, on a walk in like nature.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of the best conversations I've ever had, like even before the podcasts. And so I've only done a handful of these, but they've all been like 8 to 10 kilometers, walking my dogs, 8 to 10 kilometers. When I was a lot younger, my parents would take me on like hikes around like the Kawarthas, the Muskokas, all like that. But other than that, not too many really, really long walks.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see how it would fare. I did some long bike rides, but
yeah, with the walking and I guess like long distance running too, you really got to have your feet trained up.
Yeah.
Got to build up to it. Like before we did the 100K, we did one 40K walk and then a few like 15, 20, just because your feet, I attempted the 100K 2 years before I actually successfully did it. And I failed miserably. My feet were
hurting so much.
It wasn't even hurting, man. Like they were like falling apart. Yeah. So something I learned the hard way that day is when you have a blister and the blister pops, it will like eventually reform. but slightly larger. So I just had like continuous popping and reforming of these blisters to the point where I had a blister that was my whole heel on one of my feet was a blister.
Oh.
And it was like pretty much like a wound by the end of the evening. I made it to the first destination, and I was really like, yeah, that was it's a bit of a story. When I first started getting the blisters that day, I was like kind of limping because like I was trying to avoid putting pressure on the blisters. But then like the sun started to go down, and I was like, fuck, like am I gonna I gotta make it to this hotel. And that was a moment, maybe the only moment in my life where I feel like I really had like a David Goggins moment. I'm not you're familiar with him, but I was like, I don't give a fuck. And I remember I just like stomped my foot, just like popped the blisters, and then just started walking normally. And like my body was just like, I really felt very powerful in that moment. I like overcame the pain, but I was genuinely like kind of injured, and it was like a week before I was able to walk again on the next morning. Good times. So then we successfully did it 2 years later, and it was, I never even had to, despite the fact that I completed it, I never even had to go into that spot where I was enduring the suffering. It was very casual.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you do workout warriors every week, so you enjoy suffering of some kind, but
I do. I enjoy suffering for very short periods of time.
Yeah.
But the endurance suffering is something I've not really explored that much.
Yeah. It's yeah. There's so many excuses that I can think to make about, like, because I've always, of course, seen David Goggins and what he does.
Yeah.
It's incredibly impressive. And yeah, after starting off in like bodybuilding or strength in the gym, lots of rests, lots of water, training, all that.
Yeah.
It's quite daunting to start going on
it's a completely different dynamic for sure.
Yeah. What's the daily nutrition of Hunter Korble? What are you eating to stay so large?
Yeah, so right now I've been cutting for like 6 months or so.
Yeah.
But a big staple of my diet for the past 2 years has been Greek yogurt in the mornings. Just great protein to calorie ratio.
Yeah.
And then you might be familiar, but the type of protein in Greek yogurt is called casein protein.
I don't know that.
And our bodies are highly efficient at absorbing it because that's the type of protein that is in mother's milk. So mammals are very evolved to digesting it. Like you could eat like an enormous steak and it may technically have like 150 grams of protein, but like that is going to sit in your stomach for so long before your body can actually fully digest it that a lot of those proteins are going to break down and you're not actually able to use them. But with casein protein, you can eat a significant quantity of Greek yogurt and then your body will be able to absorb a lot of it. So I'll eat half a tub of Greek yogurt in the morning, and then when I'm bulking, I'll eat the same thing, but also just add other stuff like toast or like a banana or something. And then for lunch, it's very consistent. I'll eat 2 chicken breasts. Recently, I've been having it into like a wrap.
Yeah.
And then throwing in like a little bit of onions and stuff. I always like to be pretty efficient with my cooking.
Yeah.
So I don't do anything too fancy. But I'll usually make 4 chicken breasts every 2 days. And then those will be my lunches. And for dinner, recently I've been eating a lot of shrimp and like eggs. And truthfully, like maybe like 2 or 3 days of the week, I'll eat out in some capacity. I'm usually trying to be like relatively healthy. So I won't like get like fries and stuff, but I like to go like Subway now and then and stuff like that. And on the days I do though, I'll make sure that my calories, unless I'm just completely lacking, but
You count your calories, or you just kind of have a general understanding of what your body needs?
Yeah, I do count my calories, but I don't do it like super officially. I don't use like the MyFitnessPal and stuff anymore. I used to, but now I just kind of know how much calories are and stuff. And since I eat the same foods typically for breakfast and lunch, I kind of know the macros of those. Like my breakfast with the Greek yogurt is like about 400 calories. And then the chicken with the wrap is about 800. So that's 1,200 calories. So that kind of, if I'm usually trying to get like under 2,400 if I'm trying to work on my cut on that day.
Yep.
So
under 2,400?
Yeah.
Oh.
I think my maintenance is like around 3,000-ish.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of aiming for under 2,400. So a Subway, if I get like just double meat and no cheese and stuff, it kind of is about 1,200. So that could fit in there, but maybe on a different day, I'm trying to get a big Subway or something, and then I'll cut down on the yogurt or something in the morning.
Yeah.
But my diet's not always perfect. Some days I am lacking, but the fact that I've just been seeing progress on my cut, for me, bulking is easy, but yeah, I've been happy with my cut progress, so I'm not beating myself up too much about this all day.
What weight are you at now?
I haven't weighed myself, but I think I'm between 205 and 210.
Oh shit, nice.
Yeah, lost a bit of weight.
What are you trying to get down to? Like 200?
I'm afraid I don't want to become a victim weight. I want to have some abs.
Yeah.
It's kind of that as a goal.
Okay.
I'm probably not that far from that now. Maybe I am, but I think once I shave, I'm very hairy.
Yeah.
Maybe do like a good week of proper cutting. I'm probably not that far away from that. Yeah. And then I want to get back into bulking at the gym for the past 6 months or so. I haven't made any progress. I've just been trying to hold the line.
Yeah.
While I've been losing weight.
Yeah. Because you get relatively stronger then.
Yes, exactly. But kind of sucks.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not good to see like what you were doing easily like 6 months ago, and now that's still your capacity. It's definitely not.
Yeah, it's
fun.
less fun.
But that's good. Yeah, for nutrition has always been something that is tough for me. Like I have a very lazy approach where I'm sure you've heard this philosophy before, but it's just cram as much protein in as I possibly can. Don't matter how, don't matter what, but I'm like just trying to exceed what like the minimum is for the day, and then I kind of just backfill with whatever I want to eat. It's not the most efficient way to bulk or cut, but I have been seeing some size, strength, and leanness gains, so
it's working.
But
yeah, I think that's like just hitting your protein, I think is
number one.
And on any given day, you're either in a bulk or a cut or calorie surplus, calorie deficit.
Yeah.
And I guess like the bulk and cut, you're just trying to align all your days where you're in a deficit, align all the days you're in a surplus.
Yeah.
But if you aren't explicitly caring about that, you could just kind of, some days you're in a surplus, some days you're in deficit. But I guess as long as you're hitting your protein, you're kind of moving towards the right direction.
My muscles are growing then.
Muscles are growing.
That's yeah. Because I do 6 eggs in the morning, and then can of tuna on some tuna melts for lunch. I do a banana, honey, and peanut butter wrap for lunch as well. And then that's about, how many grams of protein is that? That's like 80 grams of protein. And that just means I got to get 120 for dinner, which is usually just in a pound of ground beef or a pound of ground chicken, or just like a pound of any meat is basically 100 grams of protein.
Yeah.
And then I'm basically there. Anything else like that I'll eat will get me up there. Push me over what I need.
So you try to get like around 200, a little bit more?
Perhaps? Yeah, around 200 is what I'm going for. But it's expensive to get protein. It is, man. Because find a lot of things are either protein dense, but also calorie dense and cheap.
Yeah.
Or it's protein dense, not so calorie dense, but expensive. And it's just
yeah,
it's a tough life.
It is.
What use any supplements, anything like that, to also try to dial in your
yeah. I use creatine.
Yeah, classic.
And then also I have like some dietary supplements. I tried for a while to kind of be scientific with it, but kind of gave up. I realized that it's kind of a complex topic, but I have like a multivitamin that I take.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a vitamin D supplement I take as well. Yeah. And then fish oil pills as well. I'm not ultimately consistent with all of them. I'll probably on average, like every 2 days, I'll kind of do the routine. I also find like I'm a person who needs a lot of water, drink a ton of water. Yeah. And I'm often dehydrated even when I'm drinking a lot of water. Oh, sure. Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Got the water on deck. Yeah, have you heard of AG1?
No, what is that?
It's
What do you want me to hold on to that?
Up to you.
Sure, I can hold on to it. Thanks a lot.
No worries. I just slipped out of your pocket while you were going.
Oh, yeah. I was like, is this mine? Yeah, thanks.
It's a very highly advertised, basically blend of prebiotics, probiotics, vitamins, minerals, whatever you need. Just like a daily cover everything. But it's like expensive. I just started trying it in December because they've got a 90-day money back guarantee.
Interesting.
And I'm just curious to see if it makes me feel any better. It's it's just once a day. And
Sure.
yeah, I honestly can't, with any supplement, as much as you tell me it's good for me, I can't notice a difference. And I don't know, I'm like, I still do them, but I'm not entirely convinced.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like
I think that's a fair take. And kind of what I was getting to with the dehydration is when you take those supplements, especially the more that's in it, the more water that you need to digest. So like if you take like a number of supplements, you need like a whole liter, not more, to actually process it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's something to be said about how you might be doing more harm than good because you're going to be dehydrating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of definitely some multiple sides to it. Not a dietitian or anything.
Yeah.
It's my opinion.
Yeah. Have you ever tried like fasting or anything like that?
I have not. No, I've never really been into that. Have you?
No. I just did a one day last term. I decided to just go 36 hours without eating because I'd never done it before, so I didn't know how my body would react. Like, because I'm pretty when I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat, you know?
Yeah.
And so it was an interesting change to do the full. Like, I didn't struggle with it at all. It wasn't very difficult because I could drink water and all that.
How did you feel?
I felt fine. Like, you realize after doing that when you feel hungry, you're not actually hungry. Your body just wants to eat. Just like your brain just wants to eat. And it's habitual as well, where like if you feed a dog every day at 5, it's going to start salivating at 4:50.
Yeah.
Like, it knows it's coming. Same thing with your body. When your body thinks it's about to eat, it's going to get hungrier. And it just helped me with the mental aspect where you can start to understand your mind a little bit more.
Oh, totally true. Yeah. And if you go back to like a state of nature, like Homo sapiens would go a few days without eating on occasion.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's you seem like got all your daily things going on, plus engineering, plus working out, all that. What drives you to do so much?
It's hard to answer.
Yeah.
I think I'm just kind of, it's easy for me to feel like I'm not doing enough. So I think that just kind of what encourages me. And I feel like all the things I'm doing are absolutely necessary. I don't feel like I'm, like, just some people might look at me and be like, oh, Hunter's going above and beyond. But to me, I don't feel like that at all. Like the working out, that's mandatory. The language learning, to me, that's mandatory.
Yeah.
You know, like doing biology and engineering, like to me, like that's like mandatory. So it just feels
natural.
Just feels natural, yeah. And that's why I don't know how much you know about Bogman or anything, but that's one of the reasons he's very inspirational to me is he kind of has a similar attitude, but he's doing even more than me. So when I look at Bogdan, it just kind of like justifies my.
You can always do more.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it just kind of, I guess that kind of answers the question that I.
Yeah,
like I have to do. How about you, Owen? What kind of gets you going?
I don't know. I feel like a piece of shit if I don't. Like, it's my mental frame a lot of the time is actually thinking about it now. Haven't thought it to myself too much recently, which I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but it's like if you're doing things for like me now is not as good as doing things for me later. It's like it's very selfish to do things for me now instead of doing for later me. And so I think it's like out of that sort of spirit that I try to I'm trying to set myself up to be in a better position in the future, to try to have a lot more freedom to like choose what I want to do, who I want to talk to, what projects I want to work on, and all that. And that all starts from a core level competency that I don't believe I have yet. And so it's kind of just working to grow the competency, ability, and that. But it's also a lot of the time I do ask myself the question, like, why am I doing all this? I could just not do it. So many people don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, so many people don't do it. I could be better than most people and do less than I'm doing now. But there's always that thing that, like, I like this saying, but I'll know. Like, you know the type of people who are very natural presenters? Like, they go up to the front of the classroom, they can get away with a nice, like, they don't need to practice their script or anything, and they can have a great presentation.
Yep.
I feel like once I heard this and realized that's what I do, because I've been blessed with a lot of like natural talent, and not like it's unnecessary for me to work hard, and I feel like that's almost a detriment because I can scrape by doing less. And once I got the frame of, but I'll know, like if I go off and do a presentation and it goes well externally, but it was something that the day before I was like, I don't need to practice anymore. I don't want to work on it anymore. I'm just going to fuck off. And it's like,
you'll know it could have
I know it could have been better. I know I could have said this more clearly. I know I stumbled on these words.
Yep.
And it's like, just beating yourself up a lot more that's what kind of drives me. And I've been trying to find, I feel like that's not a very sustainable thing to drive you always. It's always like kind of having a tyrant that's standing behind you, like whipping you. You got to do better. You can.
That might be the only way to be exceptional is the stick. You gotta.
Yeah, you got to start with a stick. But have you ever heard of the experiments where they put, you know, like those like a little tube that like a roll of paper towel would go on?
Okay.
They put a mouse in one of those, and they tied a little string around his tail and pinned it to the back, so like it couldn't like move really. Like it could only move one way.
Yeah.
But it couldn't like escape because its tail was tied.
Pushes off the big mouse. Is that what you're
like? Basically, the mouse is in the tube, and there's a rope attached to his tail.
Okay.
And they waft the smell of cheese in from in front of it.
Okay.
And they see how much it pulls. And then they waft the smell of a cat in from behind it. They see how hard it pulls.
Yeah.
And then they do both, and they see how hard it pulls.
Sure.
And it pulls a lot more when there's a positive cheese and a stick of a cat, like a fear.
So both.
It has both. And I just feel like there's not much positive. Like, I've got a big ass stick behind me, but I don't have enough carrot in front of me that I'm like chasing. I don't know how you.
Well, I think that's interesting. Like, you want to have positive and negative feedback, and I guess that kind of makes you very uncomfortable in the moment because not only do you need to escape what's behind you, but you also have to achieve what's in front of you. I think that is interesting.
I'm just curious. Do you think you're driven by more of a big stick, or do you have like a cheese that's in front of you?
It's mostly negative, but also, like for me, it's like not that serious. Like I'll definitely feel like bad if I don't complete my daily tasks and stuff, but also I can kind of take a step back and look at the progress I've made. I still have I'm not like too caught up in the negativity to realize my progress. So I guess for me, and I film like daily response videos every day where I'll usually reflect on like the whole day, including the daily tasks. It's like usually like a 1 to 2 minute video. And like if you watch like one where I had a bad day, like, oh yeah, daily tasks weren't great today, but still a good day. So I think I'm kind of able to not have the negativity be too extreme that it actually degrades my mental health.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. How do you kind of have the carrot?
For me, it's I try to in my daily reflections as well. Like you do the video, I do like my journal writing. Where I've tried to stop like putting all the negatives, and it's all about like the little victories. Every day has its set of little victories. It's got a set of little defeats. Like if I was mentally defeated at one point, I could have been like recently I started a new habit every morning, because I'll say I'm not very good at getting out of my bed in the morning. So I started a new habit. I recently did one of these podcasts with my pastor, and he gave me one of his books he wrote. It's like a prayer book.
Okay.
And I decided that every morning I'm going to wake up at 7 o'clock on weekdays, 8 o'clock on weekends, and do the daily thing that's in the book. And then I'm giving myself permission to go back to sleep. And it's like every night where I can reflect, and I got up and I did that and I went back to sleep. I could have done it better, but that's improvement. And I just have to appreciate the little improvements. And I feel like, I don't know how I would definitely, I'm trying to put a bigger carrot in front of me by doing goal setting, but goal setting is just not my strong suit whatsoever. Like, I don't know about you, but it's hard for me to put goals in front of me. I kind of just do stuff because I think it's good to do.
So are there an issue with like the follow through, or the goals are just not
like I just straight up, it almost feels like I don't quantify my goals because it would lock me into a direction that if I want to pivot, like a lot of the mentality, there's like a whole bunch of things here that are just like the common things. Like, if I set myself to, like, there's always a better goal that I could set myself. Like, what if my goal isn't good enough? What if it's not big enough? What if it's too big? There's just so many aspects of it that
kind of finding where it's not too big, but also not too small. That
yeah. And there's also so many different goals. Like, I could do an academic goal. I could do a fitness goal. I could do a personal side project goal. Stay in the course. And there's just so many different types of goals that I could do. And then you're working at them all simultaneously. And it's the most improvement I've seen in my life has been from just, I don't know what my goal is, but if I do these actions, I know they're good actions. And then I've got my stick behind me that's pushing me to do them. So I don't know how you structure your goals.
Yeah. So I have goals, and one that I have every month is try to have maximal perfect days, which is like the daily tasks and like fitness. And I'll like show my score. Now I post these on the internet as well for accountability, but like I'll have my score because every day it's out of 10 for the daily tasks. So I can like kind of clearly see what they are. But in addition to that, like for example, this month I like having goals that are binary. So one of my goals was finish the prototype for this robot claw I'm working on. And that's binary. Either I'm going to do it or not. The other one was buy a car, right? That's binary.
Yep.
And then my last goal, this one is less binary, so it's not as good, but it was just kind of like make some progress with my summer business. Which that last goal isn't as good. But the other two, I think, are like good goals because they're like, I like having goals where I'm either going to complete it or not complete it. It kind of removes the ambiguity of non-specific goals.
Yeah, that's I was thinking about, I got one other friend that's been on the podcast a couple times who's pretty similar to I in the goal sense. We were thinking about renting out an Airbnb for like 2 or 3 days and say we cannot leave this house until we have a set of written down, articulated dates, tasks, and progress points for like a set of goals for the next 5 years. And I've just been putting that off for however long, but
that'd probably be a good exercise.
Yeah, I've been thinking about, there's no shortages of my creativity for exercises to do it, but I just haven't followed through on any of them yet. I'm gonna see how far we've gone.
Sure.
So I do have to be leaving. Is that a real goose or is that a fake goose?
Oh yeah, hey.
That's the...
Gotta be fake.
All right, you want to turn back around? We've been going for about 50 minutes, so...
Sure. Sounds good.
50 more minutes. Be about right on schedule. Yeah. You're talking a little bit about one of your goals was for your summer business. What got you interested in doing like a summer business type thing instead of the more traditional things that like, I don't know what your parents, but my parents were like, yeah, like co-ops are probably the best bet. Like, what made you want to do something on your own?
Yeah. I know that like in the future, I guess not in the future because I have business today, but definitely want to be a business owner. So just kind of working on my business skills is a big priority for me. And I had my first business, had a couple businesses now, but my first ever business was in the summer after first year, and I had a job at Safeway, and I was like, fuck, this is awful. So I started up this business. That was a terrible business. It's called Layers Aesthetic Garden Design.
Okay.
And we were a gardening business. And after about 20 hours of door-to-door sales, I got my first deal. And our garden was just awful. It was just so bad. I came back a few weeks after to see that they had redone the garden because I had no business gardening. And then from there, I kind of sat down with my team, and then we discussed why our business was so shitty. And then I think that was like a really valuable exercise. And then we kind of realized that, you know, the team was good, we were good, but the product was terrible.
Yeah.
So then we did some research and we stumbled across two products, which were driveway sealing and garage epoxy flooring. And this is the summer after first year. And then we were like, okay, how can we get into these industries? And there was this one company called Student Sealing, and it was just two dudes, Ryan and Thomas, and they were a year older than I was, and they had a business. So I talked to them, and then for the following summer, I worked for their business in this industry, and it was really successful. I sold like close to $100,000 of services, and yeah, it was good. Made some good money. And then the following year, after third year, I then started my own company in the exact same industry. And then that's kind of where we are. And that's kind of the story of that. I also had an internship last summer.
On top of the business?
Yeah. Like I'm in mechatronics AI.
Yeah.
There's not that many good opportunities for that. So I have a robot project I'm working on as well called Chef Robo Culinary Robotics. And over the summer, the chicken burger. Yeah. So that was in my mind, I kind of, and like having this internship that was kind of like, it was an engineering internship, but it wasn't mechatronics AI.
Yeah.
It kind of proved to me that it's possible that for what I'm interested in learning, it could be more valuable for me just to work on my robot rather than just do like some random job. So that's why this upcoming summer, I'm going to work my business and then also work on my robot. And I think to me, that's kind of the best of both worlds because I want to learn engineering stuff, but I don't necessarily need to be getting paid like a salary or a wage to be doing so because I have some flexibility with my business. But there definitely is a lot of pressure from my parents, especially when I was in first year. After first year, when I started my first business, definitely like some negative pushback from just society at large.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of pressures that are like, no, get a job, like you're just a regular human kind of stuff. And then it was tough to reject that. And something that I'm thankful of is I'm very confident in myself. And if I wasn't, I would have listened and never started a business. And about a week ago, there's this business deal that our company did. And my business partner, him and I, we own the company 50-50. He didn't want to do it. He thinks it's a scam, but I really did. And then it was kind of it was good for me to kind of be assertive and still kind of move forward with the deal. I am covering all of the expenses personally. So we kind of found a good middle ground where he doesn't have to take any loss, but I can still do it. But it was definitely a bit of a debate. So it was good that I'm in like his dad and even my parents, everyone thinks it's a scam, but I'm confident in myself. I got faith.
I like to hear that.
So I still did what I thought was the best move, even though all the other people are telling me not to.
Yeah, well, good luck to you with that, because that's a scary thing about business where there's so many people out there that are just trying to make a quick buck and like finesse people. You know what I mean? Like
definitely,
they're just it's hard to find trustworthy people for like a deal like that, but that's definitely good. What do you think's the biggest lesson you've learned out of the business you started? Like Or what did you least expect to be so difficult?
Yeah. Kind of a lot of things, but I'd say a big lesson I learned. Most people who are in this industry, they've worked in it before, like their dad has a company or something. But for us, we're just like business people. We're just like, fuck, we're going to do this industry. It's pretty lucrative. So for a while, we started our company, and same thing with the gardening and other companies I've had. But you first enter in as a charlatan. There's someone who is like purporting to have abilities and skills that they don't.
Yeah.
So it's, I would just say that it's very satisfying to not be a charlatan and to actually be someone who knows what they're doing, what they're talking about. And the lesson in that, I guess, is that, I mean, things kind of were successful for me, but if there's an opportunity for someone to learn about something before they do it, but you'd think that'd be common sense, but
Yeah.
I'd say that's huge. And then something else too is communication is really important, whether that's with your employees or with your clients, especially when things go wrong, rather than like trying to come up with some excuse that makes you sound competent. It's much easier if you're just kind of honest and be like, yeah, you forgot to fill that crack. Sorry about it. Just going to be honest about it rather than trying to hide it or wait for them not to notice. Yeah, just kind of the communication. I think people will generally respond well to direct communication. That's some lessons I've learned.
It's direct communication is a very hard thing, especially when you have to like give someone bad news. It's that's something that's definitely never come natural to me.
No, it's hard.
And gotta get past this. But once you do it a few times, then you kind of flip a switch that it's better to, like, one thing that I always try to do is if I notice there's a conflict that's like sort of even potential for conflict, you want to get in front of it and address it as soon as you possibly can, because the longer you wait, the more it's just going to grow.
Definitely.
Like, you can stomp on it early, like you can stomp on a small fire, or you can wait for the fire to grow and then put it out.
100%.
But there's definitely hard decisions to be made there. What's your decision-making process for when you're on the floor trying to make business decisions? Are you just kind of, do a lot of reading on like businesses, listening to business people, or do you kind of just, a problem comes up and you just, I think this is the best decision and I'm going to either learn from it or it's going to be wrong?
Yeah. I would say I don't really have too much of a formal system, and I'm not that business educated. Like, I don't have a bachelor's of commerce, and I don't really read that many business books. So honestly, it's been pretty much on the fly, and which is, still doing okay.
Yep.
So it's kind of worked for me, but that's definitely something that as I grow into a business person, I'd like to, it will just come as like a more natural solving systems. And there's one book called Principles by Ray Dalio.
Yep.
And in the book, I didn't really labor over each page as much as maybe I could have. There's a lot I didn't get out of that book. But he's like a billionaire, I think.
Yeah. He's ran with Warren Buffett's hedge fund.
Yes. There you go. And like his book is called Principles, and it kind of like outlines like his principles. So that would be like the answer to the question you asked.
Yeah.
For him. So like some very successful business people definitely have almost like algorithmic strategies.
Mm-hmm.
But for me right now, I'm just
got pure confidence in yourself.
Pure confidence.
I love it. I love it.
Just trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
And I think as well, like, putting things into perspective matters a lot. Like, if a deal goes wrong, like a few $1,000, whatever, some people have bigger problems. And one of my coworkers at the job I worked at this summer, he was like, I don't know how old he was. He's like 40 or 45. But he was saying that when he was younger, like a business deal would fall through and he'd be devastated. He'd be like, wow. And it would just bother him for like weeks. He'd like be like vomiting and stuff with anxiety. But he is saying, like, if nowadays, if he had to face the same challenges he did back then, he would just be completely like unfazed by them.
Yeah.
And the challenges that he faces today would just utterly overwhelm him 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of constant leveling up, and just like in the moment, remembering that the deals you're working on today and the problems you have today are going to be peanuts compared to what you're dealing with. And my it's kind of an interesting story related to this. Is my girlfriend's uncle. He's like a very wealthy guy. He has a car dealership in Calgary where he sells luxury vehicles.
Oh, nice.
And these gangsters, he also has a restaurant business. He's like an investor in a number of restaurants, and he owns the rights to franchises of this one successful breakfast restaurant. And these gangsters, I guess that they wanted to open up their own restaurant of that franchise for like money laundering purposes or whatever.
Okay.
So they went into his like 10 gangsters, and like I saw the security camera footage, and my girlfriend's uncle, he's like kind of like a smaller dude.
Yeah.
So these like 10 like Asian gangsters are like talking to him, and they're like, listen, bro, like they're like threatening him. They're like, we're gonna like fuck up your shop or like do some fuck shit if you don't let us open a restaurant under this franchise. And he's like, nope. He's like, I'm not going to. And then they start destroying like vehicles and stuff, and like ruin like like causing havoc in his shop. And like most people would just be like horrified by that experience, but him, it was just like dinner. Like a few days later, he's like, Hunter, like check out like this video.
Yeah, that's crazy. Holy cow.
Just operating at like too high of a level where like even something like that, he just doesn't care.
Unfazed. I mean, yeah, that's like the Stoic philosophy. Like, if you can't control it, then there's no sense bothering about it.
For sure.
Yeah. Where do you think you're, do you want to be a business owner of a particular, like a mechatronics, like engineering firm?
Yeah.
Or is it more just like any business, you just want to be a business owner?
Yeah. I think definitely, like I like a lot of different businesses. I like construction industry.
Yeah.
But I do definitely like robotics. And even though I think most people don't realize it today, but robotics is going to be one of the great technologies of the 21st century. There's going to be humanoid robots that are going to be doing many things.
Yeah.
So I just want to work on my skills and my business skills so I can be a robot business owner. I'm planning to do a master's of quantum computing.
Okay.
That's going to be another big technology. And I think that one could be like a little bit of a funny one where people who are involved in it at the right time could have some good prompts on ChatGPT and come up with some $1 million solutions.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Isn't the whole problem with ChatGPT is, yeah, it's very smart, very quick, but it gives you an answer that's already been given by someone else.
Yeah, well, that's true. But where we're at like right now with quantum is the software is there. So you can code, like I'm in the quantum club.
Yeah.
There's like some projects that are like really cool. And like they're actually going to have like code that does these things, like these optimization problems, but the computer isn't there yet. So that's what I'm talking about is there's a magic moment where all of a sudden the computers are there and now this code is useful. So if you're like one of the guys there at that moment, you're going to be, it's going to be looking good. So I think that's kind of like a goal of mine.
Do you understand the whole qubits and like how everything, like the entanglement principles and all of that?
Yeah.
You just more focused on like the code for when it does start to work?
Yeah. I would say less focused on the code. Kind of like quantum computing is like a complex topic.
Yeah.
You to fully understand it, you got to have like the math background for the algorithms. You got to have the computer science. You got to have the physics, and you got to have the engineering. So it's really a multidisciplinary subject. I kind of come at it mostly from
Do you know which way we came from?
Probably this way, but maybe we could check the
probably this way. Yeah, that way just goes to
cool. Yeah, I mostly come at it from a physics perspective. So that's kind of what I understand the most is kind of like the quantum wave functions and like kind of like the way that we actually make the qubits, like using like Josephson junctions or trapped ions. So that's kind of what I understand the most. The actual software stuff is definitely what I'm weakest at, I'd say, which is kind of ironic given what I was just talking about.
Yeah. That's yeah, I've listened to a couple lectures on quantum physics, quantum computing, and like the entanglement principles and all that. I can't seem to wrap my head around it, but like it's, yeah, I feel like a hater when I'm saying that because I know it doesn't work now, but one day it might.
Yeah. And it's interesting as well, like you may have heard, but like 2 months ago,
the Willow
chip. Yeah. So for people who don't know, like Google, they created their Willow chip in like late 2025. And it's so powerful because the issue with quantum systems is that the more qubits you have, which of course you need like a critical number to actually have a useful computer.
Yeah.
The more qubits you have, the more non-coherent it becomes. So like it just becomes like a nonsense generator.
Yeah.
The error builds. But with Google's Willow chip, they have, and this is, I'm not actually sure the engineering here, but they have some sort of real-time correction system where rather than trying to correct the error of the whole system after, it actually corrects the error on the qubit level. Okay. So it kind of doesn't have the errors don't interact with one another. They're corrected at the qubit level.
Okay.
And it basically allows for, I don't know, infinite scalability is the word, but now like the scalability, the path to scalability is possible. For the first time, we actually know what we need to do in order to build a quantum computer.
That's exciting.
So it's very exciting. Yeah.
How do you feel about the race between like the major tech players, like China, the USA, Russia? They're all trying to get a quantum computer.
Yeah.
Do you think the first person to get a quantum computer is just gonna take over the world? It's kind of a silly question, but
yeah.
I'm just curious.
Sure. It's kind of like, obviously that's a complex question.
Yeah.
With quantum computing, there's a number of very different use cases. Like the one that I think is going to be making people the most money is optimization problems. So that like a huge application of that would be Jeff Bezos drops off 14 million Amazon packages a day.
Yeah.
Using a quantum computer, you can actually run an algorithm to optimize the routes. Like right now they have like heuristic algorithms, so they get like decent. But with a quantum computer, you can have pretty much real time. Like someone will cancel an order and now instantly your route can change, and it could be saving like hundreds of thousands a day, if not millions a day. I don't know the precise numbers would be. So there's optimization problems. And like another good example of where that comes in is electricity grid optimization. There's a lot of places where there's like big money interests in those optimization problems. Another completely different area is in cryptography.
Yeah.
Because if you have a quantum computer, you can break into RSA encryption, which is kind of like a important standard for modern encrypted stuff. And that's why a lot of cyber attackers, they're collecting a bunch of information right now. And as of now, they can't actually break into it, but they're waiting.
The day that's available.
Yeah, exactly.
Should I go off the grid?
Maybe, man. I think there's people working on solutions to this, so I trust that they'll get the quantum proof cryptography before it becomes an issue. And the last, or there's more, but the next big use case is in chemistry, because of course like chemistry works on quantum physics at the lowest level, and if you're trying to simulate advanced chemistry, having a quantum computer makes it just so much more possible. And like a lot of people don't really understand fully like the implications of that. Obviously there's like you can make more advanced drugs, but even like I believe like nano robotics, like robotics that are working on the molecular level, which could be hugely useful for many tasks, particularly I guess healthcare adjacent. But you'd need a quantum computer, I think, to kind of realize that level of chemistry. Yeah, and then each of those, especially the chemistry part, is a very different technology than the optimization. Mm-hmm. So kind of answer your question, like it depends like what kind of computer they get first. Like maybe they'll get like a great trapped ion computer, and then China will have the most advanced chemistry. Yeah. But the US might get the first.
You don't think they'll be able to scale it out? Like whoever gets it first is going to make like, do you think there is? Actually, I don't really know, but I feel like whoever gets it first is going to have the best chance of not only having it for the one discipline, but spreading it out.
It's possible. It's very different than the trapped ion computers.
Is it like that different for each computer?
Yeah,
they can't just make like a general computer for.
Not really.
No.
Maybe you could make a general computer.
But we're not at that level yet.
No, and like right now, like there's this company called D-Wave, and they're from Vancouver, and they actually make money with their quantum computer, and their computer is very, very specialized for solving optimization problems, to the point where you can't do like Google and IBM. Their computers are meant to be more like they're gate based, so you can kind of like run theoretically any sort of quantum algorithm on them, including optimization problems. But the computers today that are actually
functional,
making money, they're highly specialized.
Okay.
So that's kind of where it is right now. But it's like the world's not really like, it's not a video game. It's not like once you make a quantum computer, like you've won or anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I even if like China or the US or like any global power had like a incredible quantum computer, I don't I think it's going to be less of an innovation than the classical computer was. It's not going to be as important. So I think, I don't know if it would be that significant.
Yeah. Back to the Willow chip.
Yeah.
How much do you know about that? Because the story that I've heard from my listening to some Joe Rogan podcasts, is that if you took every particle in the entire universe and turned it into a computer, it wouldn't be able to solve the problem that the Willow chip did, given the amount of time that the universe has to exist.
Yeah.
Does that prove that there's is it pulling information from other universes?
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
No, so it's not really pulling information from other universes. If you this is where you gotta get into the math, and it's a little bit beyond taking a course, or I'm gonna shadow a course right now that's kind of probably about this, but there's some algorithms have what's called quantum supremacy, where you can solve it. The algorithm is the time complexity of the algorithm on a quantum computer is lower than on a classical computer. So I'm not exactly sure what computation they did in the Willow chip, but they underwent some computation. It was something where it took the Willow chip 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it took the strongest supercomputer on Earth. It would take it 20 septillion years, which is obviously significantly longer than the universe has been around. So it's not pulling information from other, mystical universes. It's just the way it's interacting with this information is allowing it to arrive at the answer much better. And a good example of how to think about the quantum advantage is, imagine you have a computer program that's meant to search a maze. And once you reach a fork in the maze, you can the computer program can be okay, let's go left, or let's go straight, or let's go right. But the quantum computer kind of says something oh, let's actually set up a superposition where I'm going to go left, forward, and right at the same time. So rather than having to choose an avenue to check to see if the answer is there, it can diverge. And when any of the branches reaches the answer, you can collapse the whole system onto that one path.
Okay.
So that's kind of the whole idea. And that's where the quantum advantage comes through. And you can even imagine, very literal to my example, if you had a giant maze that it might take a computer 20 septillion years to find the end. But with the quantum computer, with that branching, it could be extraordinarily faster.
How can a physical qubit set up a superposition where it's not I understand the whole Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
It still doesn't compute to me that there is I understand the concept that if you don't know, then it doesn't exist yet. So
sure,
you can have both be a position.
Yeah.
And then once you reach your answer, just get rid of all the other positions. But how does it actually is it? I guess that's a very complex
It is,
question.
but also it's not. The answer is in the way that quantum systems are defined is by wave functions, which you can imagine them as a probability distribution.
Okay.
So that's the answer to your question, is it's a probability distribution. And then you collapse the probability, you roll the dice. Upon measurement, you roll the dice.
Okay.
So it's just the way they're represented is in the wave equation. And that's why quantum is so hard. People understand, kind of like you're saying, you'll watch a few YouTube videos and you still don't quite get it. It's because the real answer is in the math. You have to, that's, in my opinion, that's the only way to actually and I'm still quite far away from a full understanding, but that's the key to understanding is in the math and the wave equations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot to know about quantum computing.
It is, man. Yeah. And the kind of what I was saying earlier is you got to be a computer scientist to understand the algorithms. You got to be a mathematician to understand the wave equations. You got to be an electrical engineer to build one.
Yeah.
Got to be a physicist to actually know what's going on. So I feel that there's very, very, very few people who have all four of those skill sets at the level where you need to understand the full picture. So
yeah.
That's kind of something that is really exciting to me about it and why I want to pursue an education in it. One of the reasons is that, to me, it just seems like a very multidisciplinary subject. And if I can learn quantum computing, then I could probably learn a lot of other things.
Definitely. And you'll have a leg up on anyone else who's not familiar, is going to have to learn it eventually. If it does become mainstream and everyone does have to learn it, you're ahead in it. That's kind of the decision that why I chose to do AI, is because eventually people are going to need to know how to do it, how it works, how you can interact with it. And that was
No, I think that's, yeah, it's exactly the same thought process. Exactly, man. And
Yeah.
something else cool about the program at the University of Calgary is it's the first, like typically a master's program is like a course based or thesis based, one of the two.
Mhm.
And for quantum, it's usually thesis based because you're like doing some sort of science.
Yeah.
But the program at Calgary is cool. They call it industry based. So it's only 1 year long, and 4 months of that year is a internship placement, which is really cool.
Mhm.
And they have a ton of money. There's something called the Quantum City Investment in Calgary, which is a $100 million investment into quantum technology in Calgary, which is really cool.
Mhm.
And 23 of those millions went to the university for this new program. And I imagine a lot of that money is for student entrepreneurship. So there could be a direct path
Yeah.
to starting a company through that, which would be cool. Could be a cool thing
Yeah,
to
for
work
sure.
on in my 20s.
Definitely. The biggest thing that I can see, especially because I don't have a lot of particular expertise in the technical aspect of things, so I've got an entrepreneurial like mind for ideas. I'm just haven't like committed myself to like a full season of nothing else but entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that I can think of, AI, quantum computing.
So it's good time I shoot, man.
Yeah, for sure. AI, quantum computing, like technological booms. Everyone like is going to be needing storage space for that. I feel like data centers in Canada is like building data centers is going to be a massive, massive opportunity.
I agree a lot.
Not enough energy and not enough data centers is the two like bottlenecks.
Yeah, and energy as well power them, exactly.
Yes, and I feel like it's where I'm at in my education. Running a data center, I feel like would be, or a series of data centers would be the best course of action for like trying to get ahead of the curve in that sense.
For sure, but
Or getting into the technical things. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like my comment on that would be like I totally agree. Like data centers can make a lot of money, but you got to have like millions of dollars to start some data centers. And like I guess like in my entrepreneurship, I'm kind of like similar to you that I am interested in the technical businesses, but kind of the reality of where I am, both of my skill set and my resources is got to just start with a business that has minimal upfront, and then a lot of people, especially engineering students, they like start up like companies and projects that are really cool, but they have no actual revenue.
Yeah.
So that's something I really care about. Unless, maybe I get funded and I got like $2 million or whatever, then maybe I'll care a little less about revenue.
Yeah.
But if you're just starting a company without funding, it's not a business, it's a project unless you have revenue. So that's definitely something I filter all business ideas through that lens.
And I don't know how familiar you are with Elon Musk's story, but he was definitely like he had investors, of course, and he had his own money after PayPal and stuff. But starting Tesla, his philosophy was like, car companies never do well. They like 90% of car companies fail. Like I think Tesla and Ford are the only two American companies that like still exist that haven't like been bailed out.
Yeah.
But how he started it was with the Tesla Roadster, which was like $500,000 car, because he wanted to make a product that was so good that people would be like lining up to buy it.
Yeah.
And then he's secured more funding in that sense, where it's like you go sell it to the most expensive people, and then his next car would be like a level lower, probably like $250,000. Then probably like $175,000
average car.
Work down to like the most common one that they can build the most.
Great strategy, yeah. And that's something that I use in my business is like we do luxury services.
Yeah.
Because I guess like just like you're saying with Elon Musk, it's much better to be doing business with rich people than poor people.
Yeah.
If you do like a epoxy floor for a rich person, they'll be like, tell me what I owe you. But for a poor person, they'll be haggling you down to the cent.
And they'll be watching what you're doing the entire time, stressing about it. Yeah.
Is this worth the money? Exactly, man.
Yeah, that's then I always think that way, and it makes so much sense. Like the reason that they are rich is because they care less. Not like that they care less, but they understand the game a lot more of business, that you'll just, sometimes it's not going to work out, sometimes it is, and you just have to be doing your own thing and stuff. But then it also feels bad to not be working for, like, I would love to have a business where you could serve the most amount of people, and the most amount of people is a lot of the not wealthy people. And I feel like it's definitely the best thing to do is to start with dealing with wealthy people and then leveling out.
I agree.
Yeah, there's so many different business opportunities out there. It's like the same thing with my goals. I'm just deer in the headlights with so much stuff, so much opportunity out there.
Definitely.
Don't know what to bite onto.
And we're still young guys, like still in school.
Yeah.
It's not this imminent thing in the world to have it all figured out.
Definitely. It is the most imminent thing in the world to keep the work ethic up, though.
It is. That's why we're cold tubbing, workout warriors. Am I doing workout warriors because I care about my log throw? Like, not really,
Yeah, exactly. It's just keeping on. How do you keep yourself from getting distracted? There's so many distractions out there in the world. Like, of course, doom scrolling is probably the biggest one for our generation, but like, just any sort of distraction, how do you minimize those?
And the truth is, you'll catch me doom scrolling, you'll catch me wasting time.
Yeah.
But I think something I'm good at is not procrastinating. So I know that I have to complete something. I'll generally, a lot of people want to complete something as late as possible, but I kind of have the opposite. I want to complete as early as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just kind of having that mindset, knowing what I have to complete, and then just kind of doing it.
Yeah. How are you able to put the pressure on yourself because working through an exam, you're so effective because there is that time crunch there. How do you find yourself being as effective when there isn't that looming deadline in front of you?
Yeah.
You just set them yourself?
It's a hard question. I guess, I just kind of just doing it myself, and I just find it doesn't take me that much effort to get to work. Sometimes it does, but for the most part, it doesn't. And then I think doing stuff like something I've really been procrastinating now and then is the cold tub.
Yeah.
So I think kind of doing the cold tub, if I'm able to hop in the cold tub, I'm probably able to complete my math homework.
Yeah.
And something else too is like the way that I do things with like the daily task strategy. It makes it so there's almost nothing that I do that is like a daunting task. Everything I do is kind of easy, and it's going to take me 20 minutes. But with that consistency, just kind of adds up to a lot of time. And even with my schoolwork, like I don't study that much. But I do go to class. I do kind of think about content after class, and just kind of even that is like a daily structure.
Yeah.
That kind of just has it. So when the time for the exam comes, it's not really a cram session. It's more of a soft landing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we cross the bridge here? This is kind of a
better than going back up that.
It's probably slightly longer. It's just different.
That's fine. That's fine. We can go up across the bridge. Because, I remember this area. I went and bought, I think, a cast iron pan from a lady who lived in a house over that direction. Cool. And there's no, for whatever reason, Google Maps is not able to calculate a bike route around the town.
Interesting.
It's either walking, bus, or
in
car.
London?
In London.
Huh.
So I did a walk. I guess I just want the fastest walk path. And it took me down that friggin' hill over there. So I had to carry my bike down that hill. And then I had to come.
That's funny.
When I came back out over the bridge.
Before you had a car?
Yeah. Well, this car isn't my car. It's my parents' car. Okay. But they just have my oldest brother is living at home right now who has his own car. And they have 3 cars, and we have a 3-car driveway. So
perfect.
They needed someone to take the car.
They needed someone to help them out.
Exactly, and I would happy to oblige. Nice. It is awesome to have a car.
No kidding.
In London, yeah.
I bought a car about a week ago.
Oh yeah.
Well, not in London, but in Calgary.
What car?
I got a 2011 Toyota RAV4.
Oh yeah.
It's in good condition, so it should last and hold its value too. I kind of want to buy a car that is gonna keep its value for a couple of years. To sell it. So yeah, it seemed like a good car.
So
and I like the size too. It's important for my business that I have a little bit of size.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's gonna suit my needs quite well.
That's sick. First car?
I had a van when I was in high school. That was my dad's car. I guess he just kind of
Okay.
gave it to me. But yeah, this is my first real car, I guess. Yeah,
Nice.
that was
It's
cool.
exciting.
Yeah, it is, man.
Oh.
And for months, I was scrolling on Kijiji Autos, and then one day I was like, there it is.
That's the one I want.
That's what I want. Yeah, I think if you have a bit of patience and like start things a little early, you can get great deals and stuff like that.
Yeah, as long as you're staying on top of it, keep it on looking,
And know when you find a good deal, know when to act.
Yeah.
Like that's another moment where I felt like my confidence was really helping me, because I was talking to other people, talking to my parents, and like, Hunter, like maybe you should look at a few other options and stuff. But I was like, no, like that's a good deal.
yeah. Yeah, no, and also having the confidence is important, but also having the competence to see that it's a good deal. Like, you probably got that from looking at cars so much.
Yeah, exactly.
So that just builds up your competence to be able to allow you to be confident
Definitely.
in it.
Totally, dude.
Yeah,
This is a nice bridge here.
it's a pretty good bridge. It's a little rusty, but let's see what type of bridge this is. We got ourselves a Warren bridge.
Nice.
Warren arch bridge with vertical reinforcements. Gotta love being a civil engineer.
All I know is trusses.
Yep. Truss and bridge
Yeah.
and asphalt.
Some trusses are in compression, some in tension. Is that true?
Well, they all have pieces that are in compression or tension. But this whole, there would be, some of the horizontals would be in compression, some would be in tension, and then the tops in compression, the bottoms in tension.
There we go.
There we go. Some fun bridge
So
facts.
we're in your domain here on this bridge.
Yeah, out in my element. Yeah, I did a podcast with Matt, and we spent like a good 30 minutes just analyzing a bridge at some point. But yeah, oh man,
Quite icy, eh?
this is, I feel like I'm gonna have to test to see how good my knee's doing. Like, they're usually pretty good on walks, but in boots and ice, my knee has been taking a lot of load here.
You feeling any pain, or are you okay?
No, it's all good.
It's not the worst thing. I kind of like when I slip and my body like instantly reacts to it. It's like, okay, I got a working body.
I feel like a cat.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember you said you did martial arts training a little bit.
Yeah.
What type of martial arts training did you do?
Yeah. So I first started doing martial arts. I kind of did a little bit of boxing in high school-ish, but in the summer after, wow, when was that? I think after first year. Summer after first year, I trained some Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was cool. And then after second year, I also trained Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
You
then-
gi or no gi?
It was both.
Both?
Yeah. And then this past summer, I was at a cooler gym. The gym I was at was still really cool, but it was kind of like it was like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu like sports gym.
Mhm.
But this other gym that I went to is more of like an MMA gym. So this
nice.
past summer I was doing BJJ, mostly no-gi,
Yep.
not entirely no-gi, and then also some Muay Thai, which is cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you a white belt still?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Takes a long time. Have you trained?
I have trained some jiu-jitsu. I've trained some boxing. I found in the town over from mine, there's a gym called the Burlington Training Center.
Yep.
Who, when I showed up there, the boxing coach had just got signed to the UFC, and the jiu-jitsu coach
Cool.
was like an ex-MMA, pro MMA fighter. And so I trained there for about a year.
That's cool.
After, it was 2 summers ago. But this past year, my knee was too jacked up. Like I did,
So was it over the summer you're training, or in London as well?
pardon?
Were you training over the
Just over the summer, no.
Gotcha.
In London, like James and I tried to get an Edge versus Ivy boxing match going.
Yeah, I remember a little bit about that. That was
But
cool. Too many
I don't know
people
what-
fucking with you guys.
No, it was Western wouldn't let it. Like, it's too big of a liability for Western, so they wouldn't let it happen. But I went to the boxing gym for a little bit there. Yeah, I enjoy, it was mostly boxing and jiu-jitsu that I did.
Cool.
I didn't do anything else.
Jiu-jitsu was awesome, hey?
Jiu-jitsu is so fun. Yeah, I find it to be, it's weird being so big and strong, but then getting absolutely destroyed by like
No kidding.
there was the best one I can remember is there's like a 40 or 50-year-old small Indian guy, super skinny, super small. We get going, and
Yeah.
he's just flipping me upside
Dismantling
down,
you?
dismantling me,
Totally.
like throwing me wherever. And he was just like the most chill guy, just did not care, did not, and like he was just going, and it's such a humbling experience. And then also when you finally start getting taps on people, like I know a few finishes, but there's like only really 3 finishes that I'm actually like competent at, and I've got like a set thing of moves I'll do.
Yeah.
I do this, they do this, I do this.
You can build up to it.
Yeah, I've got a good, it's a triangle from my back, like in the guard,
Okay.
just like trapping a wrist, throwing my leg over, and then I can cinch my legs up like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I think that was it was like the last month of my training 2 summers ago. I was on the floor rolling with a guy, one of the most jacked black dudes I've ever seen in my life. Just like his biceps are crazy, chest is crazy, jacked dude, about the same size as me. We get going, he gets me on my back, I get him in a triangle. I have like a fight with him to just like get him to tap for like a full minute. Finally get him to tap, and I just felt so good about myself. I was like, fuck, I can do the ground game.
Yeah, there you go.
And then my other 2 finishes is, if I get you in mount, I'm getting you with an Americana or an armbar. I'm just gonna keep attacking your arms until it works. But
that's awesome.
What about you? What was your go-to finishes?
Yeah, so like working on my finishes, I think I kind of where I ended was right where I was starting to. I had my defense pretty good, and then I started working on my finishes. But yeah, Americana for sure. There's one that I think I have a good body for, which is, I don't remember the name, but it's kind of where you're on someone's mount and you kind of have their arm and you like stick it into their neck.
Oh,
and then use your head to like
head and arm. Yeah,
head and arm. Yeah. So that one was successful for me. But it's kind of, I kind of feel like I ended jiu-jitsu at a very exciting spot. I'm excited to resume because I feel like my defense is good. And then now that's all I was trying to work on. I remember I'm a very not competitive person, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier in the talk. I was mentioning how I played a lot of sports, but I was at a really high level in any of them.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to me not being very competitive. And when my approach with jiu-jitsu, like I didn't really care about beating people and like getting taps. I was just kind of trying to work on my game and my defense for like, I guess like a few years.
That's sick.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of exciting for me. Like I know that Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah. He trains jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Apparently he just quit though.
He quit, eh?
Because he wants to focus a lot more on his last years of school.
Okay.
Because he's like, jiu-jitsu is always going to be there for me.
That's fair. He's trying to grind it out.
Yeah, he's trying to use all his resources at the school.
Fair enough.
I like that. Yeah.
I trained with him because I don't train over the school year. I mostly bodybuild. But I had a good session with him like a month ago, and it was good fun. And it was it's really an enjoyable activity.
Yeah, it's super super fun, and all the people there are like super chill guys. Like, so it's a good time. The striking. You ever do any sparring, or was it all just drills?
Yeah, I wasn't there quite yet. I was close. You had to do like 30 classes or whatever before you started sparring. I'm a little bit anxious about sparring because I
had injuries.
Yeah, I care a lot about my brain.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm not sure if my philosophy will be there. I'll definitely try sparring, but if I feel like I'm getting injured, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a good idea because you don't want to work this hard, but then your brain stops working.
Totally. And like guys are taking big hits, like I'm even watching the sparring, it's like, can't be good for your brain. And none of these guys are wearing headgear. Like you'd think that, and I'm sure if you like were the only guy with headgear, like you'd kind of be a pussy. Maybe that's okay. But yeah, no one is wearing headgear.
Yeah, I bought a set of headgear because I thought I was going to start sparring, but I never got back to boxing all that much.
Nice. Can you do it over the summer?
We'll see. We'll see how the knees are feeling. That's jiu-jitsu. It's super heavy on the knees because you're like always like, leaning down. And then boxing was just like, it was also there's a lot of torque you have to put into punches and stuff. So I will see in the summer. I definitely want to train martial arts when I'm older. I think but in tandem with like gym training. But yeah, do you follow MMA at all? Like
Not
UFC?
that much, no.
No? There was a big fight last night.
Okay, did you watch it?
I watched it.
Nice.
It was a really good fight. It was Umar Nurmagomedov versus Merab Dvalishvili, and it was a great fight.
Cool.
But
It's definitely an exciting sport.
yeah, well, yeah, I like Dana White's philosophy where it's like, yeah, other sports are cool, but like, if a fight breaks out, everyone's eyes are going to be on that. Like, it's just a natural thing.
Very exciting.
When someone's fighting, you want to be watching.
Definitely.
So
Definitely.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like I imagine like the first ever human sports are like fighting and wrestling. But then as like we became more civilized, like we started playing like soccer and stuff.
yeah,
So it's kind of interesting, like the 21st century, we're revisiting human combat.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy looking at the history of it. Like, it was banned for so long. Like, they wouldn't have fighting like anywhere. But I think it's a cool thing to
Me
be able to do. Even like jiu-jitsu competitions and stuff are pretty cool.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And jiu-jitsu is just a great skill to have. Like I've never been in a fight, but I've been in plenty of situations like where I'm like wrestling my friends, or like my friends are like attacking me, and obviously I don't want to like punch them in the face, but
Yeah.
you can kind of like throw them
Tie
off
them-
and quick.
Yeah, just tie their neck up and yeah.
It comes in quite useful when you're a young dude. It happens that you have to wrestle your friends or whatever.
Definitely.
Also, I was going to comment, your boots are nice, eh?
Yeah.
They're the same brand as my
Yeah, the good
boots
ones.
that I wear, Loa, yeah.
Yeah, I like them. They're nice and warm. And
This is a
apparently not very
dangerous
grippy on just a pure ice bridge.
tough to be grippy on the ice bridge. This is some serious ice, eh?
Yeah, this got to be a liability. The true question is, I would prefer this over, like, would you prefer this or just pure mush?
I don't mind the ice. You can catch your... mush is just nasty.
Yeah, exactly. Are you swinging down this way?
But
or-
we can go left, yeah? Sure.
All right.
It's going to be like 5 minutes longer, but that's probably okay. Unless you're in a rush.
Let's see what the time is. Oh, I'm kind of in a rush. So
Okay,
gotta
that's
get
fine. Yeah, let's go to the
past
room.
this way.
What do you got planned?
Going to church with my girlfriend.
Gotcha.
5 o'clock.
What church do you go to?
I go to the 5 o'clock one. She's a Catholic, so we go to the one up on the hill right. Actually, that's the one right there.
Cool.
That one there. And then I also go to another one in the mornings, called North Park.
Cool. Is that Catholic as well?
No, it's not. It's I don't know what denomination it is, but I grew up going to church, and recently I've fucking hell started going back.
Cool.
Yeah. You grow up religious or anything?
No, not really. And I was actually going to ask you, how do you kind of, because obviously like you're like an engineer, like you're a scientific guy. How do you kind of balance the like science versus, because obviously like a lot of things that are in like the Abrahamic religions are kind of like not real and not possible, but how do you kind of weigh those differences?
For me right now, it's all about asking those types of questions. Like, I don't know where I stand. All I know is that when I'm living out the lessons of the Bible, I feel a lot better about myself, and I feel like I progress a lot faster. Like, it's like a good base for me. I am also very scientific, and there's a lot of miracles, of course, that happen in the stories where I don't really understand them, but I feel like a lot of the miracles have stories and lessons with them that are...
It's not so literal. It's like
It's not so literal. It's like an amalgamation of all of the best lessons that humans have discovered over the past however many years. And
that's interesting. I think it was interesting, not to cut you off there, but I think you made a great point about how when you simply follow like the teachings, that's what matters at the end of the day. And there's like an interesting thought experiment where like if you have to choose a babysitter for your children and all you knew about one was that they were atheists and you knew the other one was religious, you would, even though I'm not religious, I would still choose the religious person because by being religious, they supposedly like follow certain ethical and like behavioral guidelines.
For me, it's a lot about, like, I grew up in it and then kind of...
What denomination did you grow up as?
it's like a Calvinist Christian Reformed church.
Okay.
It's like a very Dutch, not very Dutch, but it's like a Dutch church that my parents were involved in.
Right here, or
Right here?
or across the street as well.
Um,
So are your parents
my parents
religious?
Are religious. Grandparents are all religious.
But you stopped going for a while, and then
Yeah,
did your
during like
girlfriend-
first year, I was very much on the hedonistic bandwagon of just partying all the time. Doesn't matter what's going on.
you
Like,
were a common hedon,
yeah,
Western hedon.
yeah, exactly. And then I realized that this is just not fun. This is not me. This is no good. And then, like, I just turned back to it, and there's so much stuff that's like, of course, I would call myself a Christian, but at the same time, I don't agree with all Christians, and I don't agree or fully understand a lot of the rules and regulations or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like very strict about it, and I'm more of a
Take the good, leave the bad.
yeah, exactly.
attitude.
And so that's why it's like my girlfriend's Cuban and like
Quite
very
Catholic.
Catholic family. And so they're a little bit more serious about it all. And like I just think it's an overall net positive in my life that yeah, I just they're I don't know about you. You do like a lot of psychedelics or weed or anything like
Yeah.
yeah, so I think there's otherworldly something out there that like yeah, I believe in science, but I also don't I think science has its limitations for experimental like burden of proof is like there's a lot of things that you
It's
can't
very
really
restrictive.
test. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
And for me, it just comes down to am I living a better or worse life when I'm doing all this? Yeah.
I think that's cool.
And like the thing that I like if I could be religious, like just Bible only, because I disagree with a lot of Christians and stuff and like that, then I would. But the community aspect of it is also, I think, very big. Like that's something that I see a lot of people don't have strong communities alongside them of like
Totally
good,
agree.
honest people that are like, you share a lot of the same values and like you can understand and relate to people a lot more. I feel like that sense of community, the best way that I've found to find it is like in like the community. Like my parents, a lot of their family friends came from the church that they go to and all that.
So that's a great point.
It's about community, and it's about like some of the best just like life lessons. And then like,
do you think if you like, let's say like you somehow found out that like God isn't real or like a different God isn't a real God, would that change your behavior at all? Or would you still like lean into the benefits that you're getting from following this, even if you like knew it wasn't accurate?
I think of course you'd have to take in all the information, reassess, and then decide what like you think is the best. But like saying like something that I recently like the last guest I had on was my my pastor from my church, and I was asking him just like a bunch of like the toughest questions that I could think of.
Cool.
And like who God is or what God is, and I haven't really found like an answer that I could fully wrap my head around. Like quantum mechanics, I still don't understand that, but other people do understand it and they insist they understand it, so there is more that I could learn that I might be able to understand it. But right now my understanding is like do you believe that there is good in the world?
It's a tough question, especially once we've arrived back on my street.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard. I subscribe to the biological robot ideology, you know, especially as I learn more biology. I'm like, wow, like I'm just a robot.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to have objective things like good and bad. So I guess kind of yes and no. Like you can have, yeah, I guess that's my answer.
Yeah, I guess we're coming up to the end here. So this is going to be a tough one, but I'll just
go for it.
End with like, I just think that there is good, there is evil, and there is a force of intelligent intelligent design somewhere out there.
Yep.
And so I just put those all together and just like, I definitely don't understand and don't say that I can espouse that I know God. I like this is a sure thing.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like there is something.
There's something out there.
There's something there, and there's like the benefits to me outweigh the cons, and
that's what counts.
That's what counts in my life. If I lived my life believing and it's not real, so be it. I'd say I lived a good life. If I lived it and it like was real, and I wasn't doing all I could, then that would be less good to me. But yeah, it's definitely something I'm still wrestling with and learning about and all that. But Hunter, it was a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, your podcast is cool, man. I totally agree how walking, you can have a great conversation. And I think it's cool too, because when you're asking these questions, I'm forced to give full context, because I guess the audience doesn't necessarily know who I am. So
yeah.
And it's obviously a good friendship activity.
Oh, definitely, so, yeah.
Oh, that was awesome, man. It's super cool.
All right,
Excellent.
we're back. We're back. Gotta turn this off. Once again, thank you. And check out the Workout Warriors Instagram. Check out the Hunter Korble Instagram. And
awesome.
Until next time.